Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm, Cornucopia Orchards. So this little stairway is level 4-ish, not level 5. And I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this with some PVA drywall primer. We're looking at a very small space, so I just put a little bit in here. We're gonna cut it in. I'm just gonna cut in the whole thing all at one time. And then I've got a roller, so we're gonna roll it out real quick. And that's gonna be one of the only areas where we're probably gonna use hand paint as our primary. The rest of it hopefully will be with sprayer, but it doesn't make sense for this amount to get any of that equipment out. Primer. This is a polyvinyl acetate. That's what PVA stands for. And it should be a single coat. I can recoat if I would like in an hour, 30 minutes dry to touch. And it was drying pretty fast. I will take a look at it and see what I think, but I don't anticipate putting on more than one layer because the paint we're using is supposed to also function as a primer. Now, if we had sprayed this on, I would still have needed to back roll. And that's just because you need to work it into the surface. I was given 2 of the 5 buckets of this drywall PVA primer and sealer to trial because it's a new formulation. And as a contractor of sorts, Lowe's gave it to me with the condition that I give them some feedback. And I would say there's some really nice things about it. So I have done a fair amount of painting in the past. I'm not a professional by any means. But in college, I was on the paint crew, so I spent 2 summers doing nothing but painting. And I would say that this goes on very easy. It goes on with a very low odor, which is really nice. I don't have a headache. I'm not wearing a mask. I am someone who the VOCs definitely impact me and very quickly. I had used a paint that was sold to me, and it was supposed to be a interior grade paint with reasonably low VOCs, actually from Valspar. And this was years ago now. And I don't know if it was miscanned or if they gave me the wrong thing and I just didn't look, but it gave me flu-like symptoms every time I used it. This stuff isn't doing any of that. So someone who's sensitive to it, this is good. This is fine. And obviously a good reason to use something like this versus trying to get your seal and your prime along with your paint is that the coverage is going to substantially decrease, and presumably the paint you're using is going to be much more expensive. Ours certainly is a good deal more expensive, although we got a great deal on it because of stacking volume pricing with the sale. And our paint rep at Lowe's was wonderful in making sure that we were aware of the promotions. We really appreciated that. But you definitely want to use something like this because it is a lot cheaper and it does that job of sealing, and it doesn't have to do the job that the paint does. With a good paint, you know, you're providing scuff protection, you're making it to where it's washable. There's a whole host of stuff that paint has to do, and the primer shouldn't have to do that work. So you do need to put a top coat on this. I mean, if you enjoy this white, you still need to top coat it. But it also heavily reduces, you know, the chances of you needing a second coat if you are going for a 1-coat application. But it brushed on easy, it rolled on easy. I was using a nice paintbrush. You know, this is one of the more expensive ones at the local store, and it's designed for this type of paint. There's different paints and stains. You got to get the right brush. And the roller had already been run through once, so it wasn't leaving behind any fuzzies. Well, we just got back with our flooring. Not all of it. It's gonna take a second load. 4,500 total pounds. I put about 1,500 in the back of the truck, and there's about another 800, I think, here in the back of the trailer. So yeah, this little trailer, we've already abused it heavily. 90 pounds is a lot of pounds.
It is a lot of pounds, yes.
One down. One more load to go. Load number 2 comes with sustenance. These boxes say they are a team lift, 85 pounds, 85 and a half. I don't know, is that really a team lift though? Probably not. The last box award goes to Casey. But we're done. Okay, I'll drive this up. We'll get rid of this stuff here. Been hard couple of years on the alders. A lot of them have died, and that one is showing signs of a little bit of a struggle. Now we're on to kind of the finish work. I only have one more big section to do. It's not that big, it's just the stairs and kind of under the stairs, and then it's all just pieces. So we got these pieces done today. I just want to show you this piece here while I'm looking at it. So 2 things. This piece is a cutoff of something else. And I cannot even tell you how many times I have had cutoffs that are small pieces like that. That still, even with following all the appropriate rules of how to drywall and not make it hard on yourself, that are great. They're just right for whatever it is that I'm looking at doing. And that piece is perfect. I needed a 13 3/4, a 13 7/8. That one is 13 3/4 side to side. And it's 48 inches and has 2 good tapered edges and a factory edge on the one side. And so this is perfect. And that's the other thing I wanted to show you. I've found that factory edge going against the ceiling is always best. If you have a cut, then the factory edge should go to the ceiling if you are running vertically. And I always like to put my cut edges into an existing wall corner. And obviously that's a tapered edge, so that's gonna be the bottom, and then this is gonna be my cut. We got our flooring here yesterday, almost all of it, not quite. And even though it's not gonna be opened up and used for a couple weeks, I'm excited to open up a box and take a look at it. Let's go look together. So we kind of have it just all over the place in here, and that was just because I didn't want to try and do the math of how much these weigh versus how much I should be putting in any given spot when we were loading it in last night. And our intention was to take it all the way down the hall here and put it into the office, which has our mechanical room. And I'm not going to be able to put it all in here probably. So the total weight of the flooring is 4,500 pounds. And this room is a weird shape, but it's, if you cut off the leg where all of this mechanical stuff is stored, then I could put flooring across about 12 by 12 area. So 144 square feet. This is not a bedroom, it's a office, and areas other than bedrooms are supposed to be safe at 40 pounds per square foot live load. And I think this is considered a live load. So, I mean, you're looking at about 5,600 pounds, 5,720, if I'm doing that in my head real fast, right? Which is probably not accurate. And so we would easily be able to put it all into here. I just don't feel like pushing it. So because we also wanted to put our cabinets down into the same space. You saw the tarp as we were coming into the room, and that's so that I can run the dehumidifier in this space and keep it climate controlled. It's not gonna get too cold or too hot in the next couple of weeks. It's spring here. So it's going to stay between about 50 now that we're insulated and really nicely sealed in here, minus the air barrier of the mud. I haven't done the taping and the mudding, as you know. But everything else wise, it should stay pretty nice in here. We're gonna kind of do a two-stage. The second area is here in the dining room, and we've had this tarp up for some time. This is where we're allowing our kids to play. So we're gonna keep some of the flooring in here on this wall and on this outside wall here, and just kind of spread it out across. My reasoning being that the sheets run this way and the joists run that way. And so I've heard that you want to kind of keep it along the load-bearing walls versus out in the center. There is a load-bearing condition here going across where the tarp is. There's a beam, and there's one obviously on the outside wall where the joists hit the ledge. So that's where I'll put most of the weight that we put into here. But we're probably going to be shooting to put about a third or a little more in this room of the flooring so that I can put all of the cabinets in the other room with the dehumidifier. So you want to have your flooring kind of acclimate, and we're not near install yet. So we're just going to keep them in the boxes. And this is natural wood. It's not like an LVP where it's stamped and they'll mirror the stamp, but it's ultimately always going to be easy to find the same pattern if you really look for it. And so and Cali offers some really nice luxury vinyl plank. The print runs there's more patterns than standard in the industry, and that helps. But nevertheless, you're not going to have that with real wood. Okay, I'm going to open up a box and let's take a look at this stuff together. We're going to do it in here because we got some nice natural light, and because some of these boxes were end damaged, and I want to take a look and just make sure that the boards didn't suffer. So I'm kind of looking at this one. It should be a good example. Just busted open on there. So box is already open from that standpoint. I'm going to go ahead and get it opened up. We'll just take a look together. Very careful, not going to score this past the box. All right, so the packaging has already been damaged. Not the boards as far as I can tell, but this protective wrap has already been perforated. So I'm not worried about opening it up further, even if we're not installing right away. You can see that end down there is the same. And so, air's been able to get in here for a while. And the stamp here, I don't know if you can see that, but this has been stamped from 2022. So June was when this was manufactured. And so it's already been in a warehouse somewhere, probably reasonably climate controlled for some time. And so long as we keep it that way, it should be fine, even once we've opened up the packaging the rest of the way here. So a little bit of filthy light coming from that window for sure, but this is a gorgeous, gorgeous floor. And I am so excited for this to get installed. This is a eucalyptus floor. It's a great material. It's sustainable. It grows fast. It's hard, not as hard as bamboo, I think, but pretty close. And it is really pretty, in my opinion. It's got a lot of variation to it, but the tones are still soft. We chose, I think it was a Mocha stain instead of a clear. Clear would have been more like a blonde sort of a wood. And the other thing I noticed right away when I opened it up is it smells really nice. So it is about, I think it's like 5/8 thick, something along those lines. I don't think it's a true 3/4, and you can probably kind of get an edge profile idea there. Yeah, I think it's 5/8 or 5/8 plus. We did get a smooth versus a textured type of a floor, and this is non-floatable. I think it's a tongue and groove meant to be glued or nailed down, and we're going to be doing a nail down installation. So two things that you are going to have a hard time finding compared to buying a new house or renting someplace are your financing and your insurance, especially the insurance. And it took us forever to find somebody who was willing to insure an owner builder, and they've actually been amazing. I mean, we've gone longer than I'd hoped, and longer than we'd originally planned, and longer than they said we could go, and they're still insuring us. So that's been a real blessing. And one of the things that they've needed is just continual updates to show that progress is always happening, and that it will this house will get finished someday. So this is just a collection of pictures, what we've sent them to show that we are still on track to make it someday. Morning. We did a thing. It's as I mentioned, getting very brushy up here. And I have a lot of work that's going to be needing to get done on this place this year once we start transitioning away from all of our time being on the house. And so I bought this. This is a little, I think he didn't know for sure the man I bought it from, or couldn't remember. I think it's a Massey Ferguson brush hog. It's a 60-inch, 5 foot, and it has some damage to it, but overall it seems to be pretty acceptable structurally. It isn't super beat up. There is a little plate that I'm going to need to weld on a plate up in here, but other than that, not in bad shape. So this is how we transported it. Strapped, but we just took it slow so I didn't throw it off with the high centered weight. I don't have that flatbed anymore, so this is kind of the option that was available to me. And we didn't transport it very far, so I felt okay about it. Everything still turns. Definitely needs some lubrication, but the wheel runs smooth, which is nice. And I do need to release that. That is locked. Hopefully that'll come and move around, but if not, I can always replace that PTO piece there. So some work that's going to need done, and the only identifying anything that I can see on it that's still there is this. For that, all of the other things that I've been able to find, there was something here, there was something here, and that's just a warning label. I haven't seen anything else that would indicate what this machine started its life as, but $350 for this, which in our area, everything is running way, way, way more. So hopefully it moves and runs. I did spin this and it seemed to go okay. So one of the reasons that I'm working on this instead of working on the house right now, even though it's a day when I should be, is that I managed to exacerbate my carpal tunnel in my right hand, and I had to give it a couple of days of rest. So hopefully, if I ease back into it, it won't be super upset. But it got to the point, just like it did when I first had really gotten into some heavy work on the first farm that we owned a couple years back. It was keeping me up at night. My hand was going numb. Yeah, 35 was when that started. So, if you're past 35 and had to deal with something like that, then count yourself lucky. But with appropriate nursing and babying, I'm sure it will forgive me after some time here. So last couple days, all we've done is some cleanup around here. You can see we've got some mowing done. I did some branch limbing. Casey went over and string trimmed over where the garden was last year, and we've done some maintenance work on the place. And I can drive a tractor just fine with this thing attached to it, do some mowing out there in the field, and it shouldn't cause my wrist any problems.
Lift the brush hog off of the tractor. Yeah.
Kind of loop it around here and then bring it over the top, and we can kind of hook it in there. Maybe don't use the tines instead. Use the... Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.